Hello, welcome to Sun TV. I'm Lloyd Jones, the Conway Daily Sun's education editor. And it's that time of year where we're meeting the candidates. We've got some great people who are willing to throw their hat into the ring and run and serve our community. So got to tip your cap to them. And today we're going to start off with a one-year seat for a one-year term on the Conway School Board. And I'm joined today by Rose Darst and Joe Mosca. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully this won't be too painful. I promise it shouldn't. If it is, hit me and or hold it against me. Come back and haunt me at some point. But Rose, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a mother and a wife, and I've been in Conway, living in Conway for 8 years now. My son is in the Conway education system.
What's his name?
His name is Max.
Max? Shout out to Max.
Shout out to Max. He's in 4th grade, and I work. I am a director of social services at one of the county nursing homes. And
Belknap, is it?
Belknap County Nursing Home. Yes, you did your research. Yes, I've been there for a few years, and love what I do. I'm a very strong advocate for our most vulnerable population. And I'd like to continue that service. I'd like to continue serving our youngsters, our students, and I'd like to join the school board and help our students and help our educators and see where this takes us.
That sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mosca, you've done this before.
I've been
Not
here.
this.
Not this, but I've been here before. I've been living in town for almost 20 years. Both my kids have graduated from Kennett through the Kennett system. My son's living in Nashville, Kevin, and my daughter Abby's living in Fort Myers.
Shout out to them.
So yeah, exactly.
We're worldwide. Everyone watching the satellites everywhere. So
I've my background is in finance. I work for the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority before it was rolled into the what do they call it now? The
MTA?
Yeah, the MBTA was what it was.
Yeah.
Yep. So I did that for 23 years and retired 16 years ago. So I was pretty young when I got to retire, and been up here and worked at the Wentworth Golf Course for many years, and moved on, and now I'm at North Conway Country Club, and I worked at Cranmore for about 10 or 12 years, teaching kids how to ski. So it's a lot of fun. I was on the school board for 6 years. 2 years ago, I decided not to run for re-election. I was the vice chair at the time. Just it was time to take a break, and now I'm back.
Good for you. And you also served on the budget committee there.
I served on the budget committee for 7 years, and 4 years of that I was the chair of this budget committee.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So what was it that interested you in running for school board, you guys? Joe, I mean, you get away from it, and it's like you can never go back. It's like the Hotel California.
You
can
can't get away.
But you can never leave.
Exactly. It's one of those things that for the one-year seat, which we're running for, I think it's important to get somebody that can walk in day one and know what's going on. I mean, I know the budgets. I know most of the people that are involved. And I think it'll be a smooth transition. There's a definite learning curve when you get on any board. 3 or 4 months, it's knowing all the different subcommittees and committees and whatnot. And like I said, the different people. And fortunately, because I've been there for 6 years, I know most of the people and the people in the different places. I know the different committees. And
New superintendent.
I'm a new superintendent, but I was there when Dr. Frechette was at Pine Tree, so I've had a lot of interactions with her. And again, I just for me, it's somebody that has the experience to just walk in day one, be able to sit down, and boom, go. So that's
Rose,
what I'm running.
You come with a fresh approach.
I do. I certainly do. But I think that fresh approach is something that is sometimes needed, right? Change sometimes can be very important. And as a parent, I think I hone into a special interest serving on the school board, not just as a taxpayer, but as a parent of a child who is in the school system. So wanting to know, asking the right questions, voting in the right direction, all the things that matter to other parents out there. I think it's important that the other parents know that they have a listening ear on the board, and that's where I stand, and that's where I hope that voters will see.
Yeah. So what strengths do you think you would bring to the board? Just having that open-mindedness and the open ear for the citizens? Or?
Having that open ear for the citizens, knowing that, yes, I support the teachers and also the students, right? Because that's why we're there ultimately, is to ensure that our students continue to have a strong educational system and to hone in on concerns that the public has, right? There are some concerns that the public has, so.
Joe?
What's the question again, Lloyd?
What skills do you think you can bring to the board?
I think I've already shown my skills to the community anyway, the 6 years that I served. I'm very organized. I come with questions. I'm not bashful about asking tough questions.
I think you were past facilities chair. That was
I was on the facilities committee. I also was on the 6 years I was on the board. I negotiated the contract. So, and I'm happy to say that all 6 years that we got the contracts, we as the board got the contracts passed, and the voters passed everything. You know, it's a lot of work, and I'm there to do it. Like I said, my background's in finance, and.
Did you ever envision how many committees there were and how many?
No,
how much time it took?
that's a big thing. I don't think people realize that they're going to be assigned to 4 to 6, maybe 7 committees, and then if there are any extra committees, you know, you might be on that, and it takes a lot of time. And a lot of the committees meet either during the day or right after school, so you have to be able to be flexible schedule-wise to be able to do that. So it's a lot of work, and again, it's like I said, there's a big learning curve, and I don't have that learning curve because I've already been there. And again, I think the people saw what I did, and they reelected me the one time, so I'm hoping they're going to reelect me again.
What do you
elect me again,
What do you think of the makeup of the current board? Have you been able to watch them a little bit? Are you happy with what they've been doing? Or?
I've watched a little. I agree with some things. I obviously disagree with some things, and you know, it's. What's done is done, and you know it's time to move forward. I think I listen to all. I listen to parents. I listen to the community, and you know I know one of the warrant articles, the petition warrant article, is going to be a big thing, and I think that whoever's on the board has to listen to the people, and if the people vote to put the names back, then I think that's what the board should do. If the people vote to keep things as they are, then so be it. But I think, as an elected official, you have to listen to the people, and I hope that everybody else feels that way.
Rose, what do you think of the current board? Are you?
Similarly, I have.
I'm putting you guys on the spot. I apologize.
That's good. No, it's good.
No, that's okay. I have, you know, topics that I agree with, and some that I don't necessarily agree with, but. You know, like Joe said, it is, you know, what's important to the public, and, you know, we need to take that into consideration. Yeah, we need to listen.
Yeah. Yes. One of the things, this phrase keeps getting tossed out now more than ever, it seems like, the best education the taxpayers can afford. Do you guys agree with that, or where do you line up with that sort of statement?
Well, I've said it many times. So yes, and I agree with that. I think that we have to do the best we can, but we also have to look at people's wallets. You know, I said this at the deliberative. The revaluation of the town is messed up, was messed up, and people are paying more money now than they should be. And, you know, I don't know whether they're going to do the reval in 26 or whether they're going to wait the 5 years. But until that gets corrected, we're all paying more money than we should be paying. I think if the reval was done properly, you wouldn't have seen a 20 to 30% in some people's tax bills. And people wouldn't be as upset, not just with the school, but with the whole system, how everything's been running. Not the school board, the town, everything. Because they look and see, oh my God, and a lot of people are on fixed incomes. I'm one of them. I'm lucky that I have a decent income, but you have to weigh everything. And when my 6 years on the board, whatever budget first came to the board was never the budget that ultimately went to the budget committee. And I think as a member, you have to be looking at what's being proposed, how it's being proposed, and seriously delve into where there might be a little extra that you can say, all right, we need to cut here, we need to cut there. And I'm not saying if we get a $40 million budget that we cut $10 million out of it. I'm saying, if they present a $40 million budget, there's probably $500,000 plus or minus that you can say, all right, we can cut that back and bring that forward. So,
What do you think, Rose?
I think there are a lot of variables that come into play when it comes to the public's opinion on taxes in general. And because the school budget takes up a good portion of the taxpayers' money, that's always what seems to get hit with the hammer the hardest.
Well said.
But we need to take into consideration what else is going on in the town, like Joe mentioned, and we need to look at the budget with a closer eye because of how the public feels. And that is okay. That's okay to do. And that's what we should do every time the budget crosses the table.
Yeah, one thing we have in Bartlett that we don't have in Conway is Bartlett School Board has a liaison to the selectmen, so every selectmen's meeting, one of the Bartlett School Board members goes to it, and then they kind of line up and see where they are budget-wise, whether this is the year to do a bigger project, and I'm going to try and advocate for something like that in Conway, but I don't know. Just to get people working together. It just doesn't seem like we work together well, or we don't play well with the budget committee. We don't seem to play well with all the players. I would love to get all the stakeholders together for one big rah-rah meeting or something and just say, we want the best for the children and let's see what we can do to make it happen. That's me on the soapbox, folks. I apologize. These guys are running, not me. I'm not running. One day I'm going to run for Bartlett School Board when I retire. I'll tell you that.
there you go.
There we go. So, 14 warrant articles. Have you guys did you go to the deliberative?
Oh, yes.
I watched it. Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Longest meeting of my life, guys.
Yeah.
It was longer to do 14 articles for the school than it was to do 57 articles for the town.
Was it really?
Yeah. Not much, but it was still longer. I was at both.
Well, I left the meeting at 10:15, tried to head home. My road was frozen, couldn't make it up my road, so spent the night at my desk here at the paper.
No,
so
you didn't.
Longest meeting of my life. So
Oh.
it was a little rough. But I did get to study the warrant a little bit, and first question, I guess, would be the operating budget. Do you support the proposed operating budget of $41,637,542, or would you support the default budget, which is about $650,000 less? Rose, you want to take that one?
I think I would have to do more research, right? Let's be honest. We just closed a school.
Yeah.
Why are we looking at a larger budget, right? I'm not saying that a larger budget is not in our best interest. If it is in our best interest and it's something that we need to do, then yes, absolutely, let's do it. I want to support our students. I want the best educational environment for our students. I want our teachers to feel supported. I want all of those things and more. But we just closed a building, and I think the public wants to know why the budget is
Up. Yeah, there's just so many things that are beyond our control now. There's contracts, and special ed just went through the roof, $1.3 million increase in that.
Right. How many IEPs are there? Right.
Yeah.
IEPs cost $4,000 to $7,000 alone. That's just for the plan, right? And that's not taken into consideration. Our enrollment numbers are down. How do we get our enrollment numbers back up? What are we missing? Why are enrollment numbers in other charter schools increasing and our enrollment numbers decreasing. This is something that we need to take into consideration because that's how we receive federal funding, which can ultimately offset our taxation, right? It all goes into the equation. So we need to really take a look at all the variables that come into play here. Why is special education increasing? Can our paras be split between more than one student? Because not every, right? We need to take a look at all of these things,
Yeah.
right? How can we maximize our resources, right? If they don't have to be one-to-one with a student, can we utilize that?
I
So
agree.
there's a lot of things in special ed that, yes, I do agree we need to look at outside of the warrant articles.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well
sorry
said.
to get off
Yeah.
topic.
No, I like it.
deeply apologize.
that's what we're
but
here for.
I think it's something that
Yeah.
is important, right? A lot of money. Half of our budget goes towards special education. What is the number of students that are enrolled that are special ed students? If it's not half, then why is half of our budget going towards that? Let's take a clear look at this. Analysis, logical thinking, right? Do we want to cut special education? I don't think so, right? But are there ways that we can save? Are there ways that we can work around those high numbers?
I was at a meeting on Wednesday, and we learned that we're spending roughly $700,000 in out-of-district placements for kiddos aged 2 years, 9 months to 5 years, pre-K. We've got that much money going in out-of-district placements. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It never even dawned on me.
Right. So this operating budget, yeah, you know, there's a lot that goes into that operating budget, and if we can operate at a lower operating budget, then that would be beneficial to our taxpayers. How do we do that? So my vote is going to sway in favor of what we need while listening to the taxpayer and taking an analytical, logical look at the numbers. We need to do an analysis.
Joe, where do you come down on the
Well,
budget?
to Rose's point, we've done that when I was on the board, and we've did our best to make sure that we're utilizing everybody to their fullest potential. As far as the special ed budget goes, I don't know if we can cut it. I think under the RSAs, what's put out there is what we have to go with, or at least that's my understanding. But I'll also say that when you look at what's left over every year, a good portion of the money that's left over is special education funds that haven't been spent. And, you know, when the school's putting a budget together, it's 18 months ahead of when they're actually going to be spending the money. So what you see as your needs now may not be the actual needs when you get there, but you have to ask for it because those are the needs at the time when you put in the budget together. As far as the budget number itself, I would hope that the school board did their due diligence and that's the good number that they need, and I would support the number.
Fair enough, you guys. So, throw in a little easier one now. What was your favorite, when you were in school, what was your favorite subject?
I'll go first.
Sure.
I believe it or not, I'm the guy who can't spell, but I loved English.
Did you really?
I loved it. I had in high school an English teacher who was probably one of the toughest teachers I've ever had. But he made me think and he made me work, and it made me appreciate literature more in English lit. So it was one of those things that it wasn't something that I started out enjoying, but through this one teacher, and that's why I still read today. I read at least 2 books a week.
Well done.
So, yeah.
Good. Rose, how
Very
about
nice.
you?
So really my favorite class was gym.
Me too.
I liked gym class the most. It was something that I looked forward to every week, and that was something that was my favorite, you know. I loved sports as a kid. Growing up, I was always outside. That's one of the reasons why we love the Valley, for all the outdoor activities that we have here, you know, nature at its best. But Yeah, I loved gym class.
If I may, I want to just hop on that. I agree 100%. I just love the being out, the activities, everything. I was a jock when I was in school. So I was tri-captain of the football team, tri-captain of the track team. I was involved. I played a sport every season.
Did you?
And I loved. I can remember long nights after practice walking home because there's no buses or anything. So it's always the long walk, and it was. But it was worth it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I think that's one of the things. And now I'm going to go off on a tangent. It's one of the things that I feel is very important, and I said it 8 years ago now. I wouldn't cut sports, and I wouldn't cut the arts. I think the extracurricular activities are extremely important to the development of the students. And I think if we need to cut, we need to look at other places to cut before we cut that. And that's the first place everybody wants to cut because it makes so much of an impact on the students. So again, that's something that I would never cut.
Well, the big money article is article number 9, 1.8 million to go towards school buildings and roofs. I guess we've got some long-term projects. We approved it last year, 1.8 million, and it looks like we're going to be seeking 1.8 million for the foreseeable future, it looks like. Where do you come in on that, Joe?
All right,
Facilities guy, former facilities guy.
Well, I look at what the money's worth today and what the money's going to be worth in 10 years from now when we're actually going to spend it. So $1 million today is not going to be worth $1 million 10 years from now. So when you're putting money aside like that, for short term, I agree. It's a great way to do it because it keeps the tax rate level. But when you're looking out for 10 or 20 years, I think, like I said, the money that you're putting away today is not going to be worth when you go to spend it. So sometimes I think it's better to bond. I know bonding is a little bit more difficult to do. But I think the article you're talking about, there's actually another article after that, isn't there? Is Article 11 part of that also?
Article 11.
Where they're going to take money from the unexpended fund balance to add. And that was one of my questions at the deliberative. If you need more than 1.8, why aren't you asking for more than 1.8? So
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It is. Because if the 1.8 doesn't go, then you're not going to get the other one either, just by the language in the warrant article. So, to me, put the money up front. If you're going to do it that way, if you need, 2.3, not 1.8, then ask for 2.3. Because to me, it's kind of like backdooring the voters and the taxpayers by saying, "Oh, we want 1.8, but if you vote for this one, then we're going to ask for another $500,000 on top of it." So, I'm not in favor of the way they're doing it, but I understand, there's plus or minus $40 million worth of work that allegedly has to be done, and that's not counting moving the office, which is something
What do you think,
else.
Rose?
I understand their gentle approach. That's exactly what it is. It's a gentle approach, right? They're trying to have money accumulate over a period of time. Yes, I do understand Joe's point in that, $1 today is not worth $1 in 10 years. But, we have to take into consideration if that money is put into a high interest yielding trust account, which I believe they are in trust accounts, right?
Yeah, maintenance trust fund.
Yeah, so we have to take that into consideration, and I think that, it should be done. We need that money, especially for the future and the buildings, and we should vote yes on that.
I would, to add to that though, but the RSAs only allow you to invest the money certain ways, and I don't believe you can put it in a high interest account just the way that.
Couldn't?
I don't believe you can. I think it's in a just a regular account. I think the RSA states that you have to. There's certain ways you can invest the money, and it has to be. That's the word I'm looking for. It has to be. It's pretty basic. You can't go out and if there's someone that has a CD rate of 10%, you can't do that. You can't invest it in the stock market. You can't.
Oh, it's
even
a
in the
shame
high,
you couldn't.
well, you wouldn't want it right now, but
No.
but I think it's done that way intentionally so that the money isn't I won't say wasted, but it's not. All right, we have $10 million, and all of a sudden the market crashes.
Right.
Now that $10 million is only worth $5 million. So I think it's set up that way intentionally so that we can't lose the money. Basically.
Right, but I think your average trust fund at a low level is 3% right now.
Yeah.
That's
3%. 3% is not. Yeah.
Not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. So there's two safety articles. Safety is becoming more and more dominant here in our country, and it's a shame that it is, but I think we've got to look at it realistically, and we want everyone to be safe. And there's one article seeking $100,000 just to start a safety and security trust fund where they're going to do camera upgrades and other maintenance and security upgrades. But after that, there's another one for number 11 seeks $214,000 to do a design phase to determine what it'll actually cost to relocate the front of Kennett High School to the rear of Kennett High School. Have you followed that, Rose, or do you have a feeling on that one?
I have followed that. I am pro-safety. I understand the need for safety. I don't know if now is a good time for a project, right? Because that is just phase one. So I don't know, and that's over $200,000 for phase one. That's just, not implementing, nothing like that. That's a lot of money. So I am for the safety account. But I don't know that I'm for the project right now.
I think that's going to be the most difficult one to get passed for the school board, in my opinion. Joe, do you?
All right. So I agree with Rose, 1,000%. But I think after talking to some of the current school board members, that the safety issue they have is that students can't get in the back doors, and they have to walk around to the front. So I think that you could take, I think the store is there when you walk in the back door.
Yep, to the
take
right.
that and split that, put an office there, put cameras there, put somebody with a buzzer. For the $218,000 you want to design, you could probably build a room there, have an administrative assistant or somebody in there to hit the buzzer when the students show up. Saves a lot of money, saves a lot of aggravation, saves parents who were used to parking at one side of the school then going around to the other side. And that's the other thing. If you move everything, then you have to eliminate some of the parking out back. So do you have guest parking for parents, whatever. So that means more students are going to be parking on the other side of the building, so they're still going to have to walk around. So to me, it's a catch-22, but I think there's a way to do it for a lot less money that will satisfy everybody's needs.
Absolutely.
And one more, sorry,
No.
because you talked about the $100,000 for the cameras and whatnot. There's another article too, I think it's 13, that's asking for another $500,000 on top of that $100,000.
Yeah.
Again, at the deliberative, I was like, if you need $600,000, ask for $600,000 because you're backdooring again. It's not, to me, it's not above board. The money, yeah, it's not. It's money that's left over, money that would usually get used to offset taxes. So if it doesn't pass, then you're not getting the other money either. So to me, ask for what you need, offset like you normally would. It's still a wash. Yeah. But I think I think it's more transparent that way.
Then the biggie, or the one that doesn't have a lot of financial impact, but it seems to have the community talking, is what do we do with the school names? Do we stay with Lakeside Primary and Mountainside Intermediate, or do we go back to Pine Tree and Conway Elementary, or do you have a feeling on that, Rose? You've got a kiddo in fourth grade, so
I sure do.
yeah.
I think
He's
first,
now a Mountainsider, right?
He's a Mountainsider. But I think first and foremost, we need to really think about the financial impact that's going to have, right? And how that's going to impact any potential grants that we receive currently, right? We've already seen a little bit of that. So if we go back, do I still call Mountainside Conway Elementary? Yes, I do. Does my son? Yes, he does. Do I wish that the name change did not take place? Yes, I do. Do I think that changing the names back financially is in our best interest? I don't think so.
Well said. Joe?
getting back to what I said earlier, if the voters say they want the names changed back, then I think you have to respect what the voters say. I wasn't for the name change. I think when businesses merge, they go through the process of changing their name because it makes sense. But just because we closed one school, I don't think it made sense to change the names. But a solution could be, why don't we call it Lakeside at Pine Tree School or Mountainside at Conway L? Satisfies everybody.
But again,
and there's no cost.
Yeah, I guess if you just keep the signs, no cost.
Yeah. But I think, again, we need to listen to what the voters have to say. And I think everybody that spoke at the deliberative, even the people who were against changing the names back, all said they didn't like the names of the schools.
I know.
So, maybe there should have been community input more than there was when they were doing it.
Probably so. So we're over 30 minutes already, guys. I don't want to hold you up anymore, but do you want to go to closing comments? Anything you want to say to the voters? Just elections 3 weeks away, and I'll give you a little closing comment if you want. Rose, kick us off, and Joe.
No, I want to say thank you everyone for taking the time to watch today and listen to what Joe and I have to say. It was an absolute pleasure meeting the both of you.
Me too.
And I hope everyone will consider a fresh new set of eyes and ears on the board, and let's see where we can take this.
Sounds good. Joe?
Again, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting you. I have great respect for everything you said.
We can't lose here.
No,
with these two candidates.
exactly.
We got two great candidates. We're lucky.
I think no matter who's elected, that we're going to do right by the people and the students, the teachers. I would hope that you would re-elect me or elect me back into the position, as I don't have any learning curve and for a year. But I think either one of us would be a great candidate, and I look forward to seeing the best candidate wins. And thank you again, and hope you vote for me.
Sounds great. It's all going to happen on April 8th at the polls in Center Conway. Polls are open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And please get out and vote. And if you're not a registered voter, you can register that day to vote. So I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank Rose Darst and Joe Mosca for coming in, my first candidates. First time I've ever done this kind of political brew with our new Sun mugs, which they get as parting gifts. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank Rob Struble for doing everything behind the scenes. And thanks for watching. Get out and vote. And thank you all for running.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks, Rob.